Hey guys, Brennan here. Just thought I'd talk to you about the catastrophe that's kind of playing out right now in the Middle East with the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf. So I'm not going to get into the politics of it because I'm not really educated enough to give my opinion on the matter. Plus, with politics, it's controversial, whereas with economics, it's pretty straightforward. So if I'm going to talk about the economics here and just how damaging what's going on in the Middle East is at the moment. So the Strait of Hormuz happens to be the most important chokehold in all of global trade. It's where basically the world gets a third of everything it needs to kind of simplify things. Uh, about a fifth of the world's oil makes its way in and out of there. About a fifth of the global phosphate, which is the phosphorus component of fertilizers, makes its way out of there. About a fifth of the world's ammonia, which is a nitrogen-based fertilizer. About half the world's urea, which is another nitrogen fertilizer. Um, all that makes it out of there. And also about a quarter of the world's sulfur makes its way out as well. And sulfur is another component of fertilizer, which is the main three are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And ammonia is like a nitrogen. Phosphate is the phosphorus component, and potash is the potassium one. But the fourth biggest nutrient for plants is sulfur. And sulfur is not only for fertilizers, but it also makes up the king of chemicals, which is sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is incredibly important to the world economy. It's used for so many things. It's used for plastics. It's used for metal refining and purifying, and it's made for dyes. It's made for plastics, medicine, refining petroleum products. It's used in so many applications, and so that could be a. So I'm a gold and silver bug, is what they call me, and people like me, and that will definitely have a tailwind for those metals. Um, and so all of that will be affected in terms of manufacturing globally, higher prices, and just basically shortages across the globe, because a lot of what will be impacted in this Gulf and not making out into the world, like, it's not going to be made up elsewhere. This is such a large percentage of what the global needs need to be met with these chemicals and these compounds and these elements that nowhere else in the world is going to be able to make up the difference. So not even just high prices, it'll just be flat out shortages as well. And so what's likely to happen is we'll see probably most likely price controls. And if you know anything about price controls and their history, is they tend to create shortages because prices tend to determine demand. If there's a high price, nothing fixes high prices like high prices. So that's just one aspect of what's happening now. And not only that, like, we're seeing the largest releases of petroleum from strategic petroleum reserves that we've ever seen before. And those reserves, they're meant for emergency situations. And yet, the International Energy Commission, they just alerted to their member countries to release the largest amount that they've ever released before, which I think is somewhere along the lines of 400 million barrels of oil. And that's just to tame prices. And those strategic petroleum reserves, they're only they're limited. And when they run out, we'll see the true impact of this conflict in the Middle East, and it will most likely bring the world economy to its knees. Because people are already surviving right now. And a lot of it can be traced back to higher energy prices over the years and also higher food prices. And who knows how long this war is going to go on for. Like, there are some estimates that say it's going to last anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks or even going into the fall. And as we know with any conflict, it usually goes longer than projections or estimates. And this comes out like the worst timing possible, especially for fertilizers, because the planting season is going to be happening in the next 4 to 8 weeks, because fertilizing usually happens in the spring and fall. And if we miss that deadline, this is going to impact the world drastically because of the Haber-Bosch process. And the Haber-Bosch process is where they take natural gas as a feedstock in order to create nitrogen-based fertilizers. And 1 out of every 2 people on this earth is here because of nitrogen-based fertilizers. Because for the longest time, we had access to sulfur, phosphate, potassium, potash, because they were easier to acquire. Whereas with nitrogen-based fertilizers, there wasn't a process for the longest time in order to create them, up until the Haber-Bosch process rolled out. And it's just not possible to feed 8-9 billion people without those fertilizers. And so all you have to do is take a look at what happened with Sri Lanka in 2021. They banned the use of chemical fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, and made it mandatory to use organic. And that, in tandem with fuel shortages, their debt, and a few other problems to go with it, collapsed the entire country and nation of Sri Lanka. And that's where we're going if this continues, because of how important the Strait of Hormuz is to the global economy. And we're already living on the edge right now. like debt is, it's not as catastrophic in some aspects as, like, say, the 2008 crisis was, but it's bad. It's really bad. And the higher prices go across the board for all these things, the worse the economy will get, especially when it comes to energy and food, because those are inelastic prices. Like, they're mandatory. People need food to survive, and people need energy in order to commute, and also heat their homes, cool their homes. Energy is needed everywhere. It's directly correlated with economic growth. The more access we have to cheap and accessible energy, the more economic growth we'll have. And so gas prices and diesel prices and natural gas prices will definitely be affected by this, but also food. And if this continues for a long time, the rest of the world will follow Sri Lanka. And everyone will not just be pissed, but they'll be violent too. And now I think one of the best portfolios somebody could have is a stock pantry, and also just like learn how to preserve food, grow food, just build parallel systems, so that way you're not relying on the grocery store to meet your daily needs. Because if this conflict keeps going for as long as some of these projections say they will, then the world will end up being like that. And not only that, something that's not being talked about enough is the fact that like traffic hasn't completely ceased out of the Strait of Hormuz. It's definitely decreased. Like a lot of transit in and out of there is nowhere near what it used to be because a lot of these ships are scared to enter into these waters. But there are passages going through and out if these ships agree to transact with other currencies other than the US dollar. And the US dollar over these years, at least the last 50 or so, has gained its dominance through what's called the petrodollar. And so the reason why it's the number one world reserve currency in the world is because oil is traded in US dollars. And so if you want oil, you need US dollars to pay for it. And so the more transactions that happen for oil with different currencies, the less likely the US dollar will be the dominant reserve currency in the coming years. And there's been a lot of talk recently about dethroning the US dollar as the world reserve currency. And people say it'll be out of weakness. Personally, I think it'll die out of strength. With what Brent Johnson calls the dollar milkshake theory. Because when you are the nation that provides the world with the reserve currency, it's up to you to meet its demands. And the demands for that currency can be hard to keep up with because of all the dollar-denominated debt that's out there. In order to pay off that dollar-denominated debt, you need more dollars. And so that is a big dilemma the U.S. faces because of its world reserve currency status. So if it doesn't print enough, we start to see financial issues with these nations. And we've seen a few over the years, like with Pakistan, I believe, just to name one that's coming to mind. So if there is not as nearly as much food as there is in the coming year and not nearly as much energy, there will be a lot of blame directed to the US, like a lot, if not all of it. And so at that point, we could see the US dollar be dethroned as the world reserve currency because of the anger that the people hold globally for the US. And then we'll see more transactions for oil with different currencies. So if there was a way to dethrone the US dollar, it would be what's happening right now in the Persian Gulf. So, yeah, I'd say definitely keep your eyes posted on this. This is definitely the biggest news story since 2020. And it will likely be worse than 2020 with the pandemic if this continues to happen, if this conflict keeps conflicting, for lack of a better word. If you like this video, please give it a like. Share it with anyone you think needs to understand this information. And comment down below what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.